This presentation will discuss the evolution of political language and the importance that the media has in it. Since ancient times, political discourse has been posed with the purpose of convincing, persuading, and manipulating. The politicians use as main instrument of propaganda just the language, through speeches addressed to the people. We remember that the language is very important because it can be employed as psychological weapon. There are two essential characteristics of political discourse: allocutive intent, make believe, and perlocutive intent, make do. The purpose of political discourse is therefore nothing more than the persuasion of the people. But if you want to do that, the language of communication must be adequate, is to say that it must provoke emotions which induce the listener to think and behave in a predetermined way. In the past, however, we see politicians did not help the people in this, because they spoke in so-called politichese. The perspective was reversed in the early 90s. On January 26, 1994, Silvio Berlusconi pronounced the speech known as the descent into the field, broadcast on unified Mediaset networks to make his entry into politics official. In fact, Berlusconi can be said to be the true promoter of the linguistic revolution in Italian politics. He made a communicative reversal, opting for an Italian close to that of the electorate. In other words, his language was fresher and clearer than that of his competitors, and he made his political path an adventure in which everyone had to feel involved. He insists on the word people, because it is to people that he speaks. Berlusconi has demonstrated an absolute innovative mastery in the use of language. He has managed, with the simple use of words, to build the image he wanted us to see of him. There is no question that since his electoral campaign in 1994, television has progressively become a central arena of Italian politics. It is not surprising that when the leader of Forza Italia decided to enter politics, he transformed his television networks into channels for broadcasting his advertisement and messages. This created a situation of dependence between political power and television. Media play a fundamental role in political reality. Today, not only newspaper and television, but also the internet. The latter influences politics, the way elections are organized, and propaganda. In fact, political and state leaders use social networks to express ideas and make promises. But this digitalization of political activity has arrived in Italy 5 years after the United States. That is, from the election of Barack Obama in 2008. Now we move overseas and talk about the differences between the language of two presidents, Barack Obama and Donald Trump. They are two very different presidents, that's for sure. In their presidential campaigns, Trump ran largely on a path of hate, fear, and exceptionalism. Obama, on the other hand, was heading more along a path of hope, unity, and inclusiveness. Obama was inspired by the ideals of Martin Luther King. Trump shared phrases of Benito Mussolini on social media. In his inaugural speech, when Obama took the stage in Washington, D.C., he brought with him the "Yes, we can" mentality and the message of togetherness. But his speech wasn't just a reminder to work together. It was also a reminder that as Americans and as people, everyone is equal, free, and deserves the chance to pursue happiness. Trump's speech was in clear contrast to Obama's, from beginning to end. He began with a fierce attack on Washington. He placed great blame on the government, a tone consistent with his anti-establishment campaign. He pit the government against the people and vowed to give power to the people. While the tone of Obama's speech was one of unity and acceptance, Trump's tone was one of American exceptionalism and exceptionalism, with his only American first. Let's focus for a moment on Trump and his unique way of talking to the people, the social networks. He uses social media and runs it personally. This is where he has created a huge consensus machine that has led him to the presidency of one of the most powerful nations in the world. Trump's most effective strategy has been to destroy the credibility of the mainstream press. He has habitually lashed out at the media. He has repeatedly called the press fake news, dishonest, corrupt, bad people. In a single week, he tweeted fake news a dozen of times. In short, this chapter of American history could be called the era of fake news. But maybe the biggest attack in fake news in Trump's history was seen during the last presidential election in 2020, when he started calling the election fraudulent. On this occasion, it seems that President Trump was, by his words and messages, a supporter of the insurgents, and that resulted in the tragic attack on Capitol Hill. Here, gentlemen, we see the power of words demonstrated. For the last chapter, we move to Argentina. Malvinas for the Argentines, Falkland for the British. The Malvinas War can be defined as unique for several reasons. In fact, in addition to being the last war with colonial connotation, it was also a limited confrontation in terms of the number of parties involved, time, space, and objective. But the Malvinas War cannot be understood without analyzing the context in which the Latin American nation found itself. Argentina was under the command of General Leopoldo Galtieri, the last president to lead the nation during the dictatorial military regime. On April 2, 1982, Galtieri announced the beginning of what he hoped would be a quick war. In fact, the Falklands War was short, but the outcome was exactly the opposite of what he expected. The disparity between the two armies was immediately evident, marking the Argentine defeat. While on the island the battle was lost, on the continent the government applied a state censorship, of which the media were the major partners. The official propaganda of the South American government say, "Ya estamos ganando." In this way, the citizens who bought the magazine had the impression that they were indirectly participating in this war and didn't know what their soldiers were really living there. The military ordered what the media should publish, and the official information couldn't be questioned because there was a prior censorship. The effect also hit the radios, where the reproduction of music in English was forbidden, and instead the broadcasting of rock songs by national authors was allowed. But before this war, the Argentine dictatorial government had always linked national rock with subversion. But the situation changed quickly, and in fact, in a few days, radio stations all over the country canceled music sung in English, favoring Latin American music and transforming American and English pop into forbidden music.